Salvete omnes. This is exercise D of chapter 30. We are to read these Latin sentences aloud, parse them, and then translate into English. Number 1, sententia prima. Decem horas urbem appugnavant et Graecos, qui gravibus armis impediti sunt, vigerant. So, let us parse. By parse, I mean starting at the left, reading each word all the way down in the direction rightwards until you get to a period. And then you parse, that is, give the parts, dissect each word as you come across it. So decem. Decem means 10. It is an indeclinable adjective, which means that it is indeclinable. It does not decline. It is an adjective, which means that it modifies a noun. A noun, perhaps like horas, which comes from the Latin horae feminine. It means hour, as in the measurement of time. Horas, as, well, that will be the accusative plural. The horas, that form is accusative plural. And what is the reason for the accusative? Well, I note that decem horas, and decem should modify horas because indeclinable words, indeclinable adjectives like decem, most numerals, they tend to hug their nouns very closely because they're indeclinable. You can't really put them very far away from the nouns they're supposed to modify and have a reader or a listener understand what you're trying to write or say. So indeclinable words usually stick pretty close to the nouns that they modify. So if it doesn't have a preposition in front of it, decem horas, no ad or in or anything like that, then we can rule out motion towards. It's probably going to be something like the direct object, or, keep in the back of my mind, I note that hora as a time word, time in the accusative, that shows duration of time, the length of time, how long something lasted. So this could be for 10 hours. When I talk about time duration in English, I put FOR, for, the preposition for, in front of the noun and the adjective in this case. So for 10 hours. Or it could be a direct object. I don't know. I keep my options open until I get to something in the sentence that tells me for sure which one it is. That's what parsing is, the wild, wonderful world of parsing. Urbem. That comes from urbs, orbis, feminine, means city. Well, urbem is the accusative, singular form. I note as well that it does not have any preposition in front of it, so no motion towards. I'm going to think it's the direct object. At least I'm going to go ahead and assume it's the direct object. Now, could it be time? City doesn't really show how long an action occurs. Ah, yes, I ran for a whole city. Interesting measurement of time there. So, probably going to be accusative. It's direct object and singular, so singular city. Something's going to happen to a singular city. Uppugnavarant. Uppugnavarant, from uppugno, uppugnare, uppugnavi, uppugnatus, meaning to attack. So uppugnavarant is third person plural. It is pluperfect because the erant ending on the perfect stem, uppugnav. It is active and it is indicative. So they had attacked. They had assaulted. Who did? Well, we don't have anything so far that would indicate a nominative subject, as subjects are in the nominative case. So nothing nominative so far. I'm going to go ahead and assume that the subject is just a they, indicated by the ending of the verb. So they had attacked. Direct object of the verb looks like it's city. And it looks like that this action, this attacking, this assaulting, had happened for the length of time 10 hours, as decem horas is in the accusative. We go on with et, which is a conjunction meaning and. Et Graecos, okay, Graecos, from Graecos aon, it's an adjective, means Greek, something to do with Greece. It is accusative, it is plural, and it is masculine. You can tell by the os ending, graikos. So I'm going to go ahead and assume that this is a substantive adjective. So what do we call accusative, plural, masculine Greek things? Well, plural masculine, Greek men. The Greek men. Plural masculine, men. Or we could just say Greeks and the Greeks. So if it's accusative, it's reason. Why is it accusative? It's job, it's function, direct object. Direct objects of some verb. It could be the direct object of opugnaverant. However, verbs tend to go after their direct objects. They don't have to. Word order is looser in Latin. But let's keep going. We don't know yet. Qui, and notice we have a comma and then qui. Rutraragi, we have here a relative clause. Relative clause introduced by a relative pronoun qui. Relative clauses introduced by relative pronouns. The relative pronoun qui, quae, quod translates to who or which being the neuter in English, who being a sexed masculine or feminine person. Now, the relative pronoun qui, quae, quod must agree with its antecedent. That is, the noun that comes before it, graikos. The antecedent of qui is graikos. They must agree in gender and number, but not necessarily in case. So, graikos being accusative plural masculine, well, qui, quae, quod, this has to be plural masculine. Has to be plural masculine because it has to have the same gender and number as the antecedent. It does not have to have the same case. The case of qui, well, it can only be nominative. Nominative plural masculine. If it's got to be plural masculine, it can only be nominative if it's qui. So who in English, that would be who, the subject, nominative, who. Gravibus, gravibus from the adjective gravis e or gravis grave, heavy, severe, or serious. Gravibus, that ibus that sticks out like a sore thumb, it's either dative or ablative plural. Could be any gender, really, masculine, feminine, or neuter. I mean, it's an adjective. Adjectives are like alien parasites from horror movies. They latch onto hosts and they suck out the DNA of the host and then they assimilate the host and then they turn into the host. They assume the same gender, number, and case as the host. Hopefully there's a host. There's a noun that this adjective modifies. Why, by Jove, looky there. It's arma. From arma, arm, neuter, plural, we have armis. Means arms. Got some arms, as in armor, like weapons. To arms, to arms. Not really your like arms. It goes on your arms. So it could either be dative or ablative plural, neuter, armis. So gravibus probably modifies armis, but we don't know if it's dative or ablative yet. Oh darn, what could it be? Let's keep going. Impediti sunt, impediti sunt. So that is from impedio, impedire, impedivi, impeditus, to hinder, to impede. It means to keep someone from getting on their feet, pes pedis, to unfoot someone, to impede them. It is third person plural, and note by the ending impediti, that's a masculine plural. The singular would be us. Plural is e, impediti, and it's perfect and passive and indicative. Impediti sunt. So they were hindered. They were impeded. They have been hindered. They have been impeded. Well, who have been? Exactly, who? Which refers back to the Greeks. And the Greeks, who were impeded, who have been hindered by means of. This is an ablative of means. It shows the object or instrument. It's also known as the ablative of instrumentality. It shows the instrument by which the action is done. So how were they impeded? By what means? By what object? Heavy arms, heavy weapons. It's because of the heavy weapons that they were impeded. Who were impeded by heavy arms, heavy armor? They couldn't fight really well because their armor was too heavy. Vigerant, final verb, vigerant. From winco, wincere, wiki, victus, like Julius Caesar said, veni, vidi, vici, means to conquer or defeat, to win over. This is the third plural pluperfect active indicative, vicerant, perfect stem weak, add the erant. They had conquered. They had defeated. So, who's the subject altogether in this sentence? We parse it out. Let's translate. Well, it's they. We don't really have a nominative except for inside this clause. And because it's a subordinate clause, we don't really have the subject of the main sentence. The subject is they. They first, appugnavant, they had attacked the city for 10 hours. And they had conquered the Greeks who were hindered by heavy arms or by heavy armor. Optime, when we parse, we read. This is how we read. When you practice, you get better, you get faster. So secunda, legatus, quide pace missus erat, quinque milia passuum ad oppidum finitimum venit. So legatus, nominative singular masculine legatus, masculine lieutenant, ambassador, an envoy or legate. So a legate, if he's nominative singular masculine, he's the subject of the sentence. He's going to do the action of the main verb. Qui, relative pronoun, which kicks us into a relative clause. A relative clause, qui de pace missus erat. So you can go ahead and draw a box or brackets around the relative clause. That helps me. Then I draw an arrow from the relative pronoun to the antecedent, the noun that comes before the relative pronoun. The relative pronoun agrees with the antecedent in gender and number, but not necessarily in case. So legatus, nominative singular masculine, means that qui must be singular and masculine because it's referring to who? To the legate, to the envoy, he. He who. And it's nominative, so it's the subject inside its own clause. So he's the subject of the verb missus erat. De means about or concerning. It can also mean down from, but here it means about or concerning, plus the ablative, meaning about peace, concerning peace. In regards to pax pacis feminine peace, de pace, this is the ablative. It's ablative with de, that's its reason. Ablative with preposition de. And then missus erat, third person singular. Masculine as well, missus, masculine. If it were feminine, it'd be misa. If it were neuter, it'd be misum. So nominative singular masculine. And then third person singular, it's pluperfect, it's passive, and it's indicative. We know it's pluperfect passive because it's got the imperfect of sum as a helping verb. So who had been mitto mittere missi missus, had been sent concerning peace. The lieutenant who had been sent concerning peace, in regards to peace. Quinque milia passuum, so quinque. Quinque is an indeclinable adjective. It's a numeral that means 5, cinco, cinque. Milia, we have milia, milium, neuter, plural, means thousands. This is the noun form of thousand. The singular thousand would be mille, the indeclinable adjective form. So we have more than 1,000, we have thousands, we have 5 in fact, 5,000s. Now you can't just tack a noun next to another noun and call it a day like you do in English. You can't say dog house in Latin. You have to say house of dog. Can't say metro card in Latin. You have to say card of metro. Can't say 5,000 paces in Latin, you have to say 5,000s of paces. Passuum is the genitive plural of passus us, masculine. It is the partitive genitive. So milia. Milia, because it's neuter, it could be nominative or accusative, plural neuter. Now, I don't think that the thousands are going to be the subject. Maybe they are. Who knows? We already do have a nominative subject. Probably going to be lieutenant, and milia is going to be some sort of accusative. But stranger things have happened. Wait till the end of the sentence. So altogether, we could say this is something like 5 miles, 5,000s of paces. That equals 5 miles. Ad, Preposition odd, to, towards, near, always and only takes the accusative case, followed by oppidum, oppidum. Oppidum e neuter, town, nominative or accusative, singular, neuter. But because it is preceded by the preposition odd, which always and only takes the accusative, oppidum is going to be accusative as well. So we're going towards, motion towards the town. Odd plus the accusative takes motion, movement towards. Then we have finitimum. Finitimum, from finitimus aum. It's an adjective meaning neighboring, nearby. And it agrees in gender numbering case with the noun oppidum. So the neighboring town. We're going towards the neighboring town. And then here's a verb, venit. All right, final verb. The final piece in the puzzle goes into place, creating the picture. Venit, venio, venire, veni, ventus. So not when it, he comes, but when it, he came. Perfect tense. This is third singular perfect active indicative. The lieutenant, who had been sent in regards to peace, came 5 miles to the neighboring town. So milia, that ended up being accusative plural neuter, distance or extent of space. That is the distance that he went, that he went, that he came. He came 5 miles, 5,000 of paces. Tertia, sententia tertia. Propter fluctus in mari, dux 8 horas in portu manserat. Propter is synonymous with ob, ob. Both take the accusative and both mean on account of or because of, plus the accusative. So on account of the fluctus, fluctus us, masculine, is a wave. This has an us, macron over the u, so because it's preceded by a preposition that always and only takes the accusative, this is going to be in the accusative as well. Accusative plural. So on account of the waves, because of the waves. In mari, in plus the ablative shows location. Yes, mari is the ablative because it is an I stem. Follows the rule of its nominative ending in the letter E. Mare, neuter, third declension, nominative ends in the letter E. So its ablative is an I. Mari, hence the term I stem. In, mari, in the sea. On account of the waves, where are they? Ablative of location, in the sea. The dux, ducus, masculine, leader. Okay, he's nominative, he's singular, he's masculine. If he's nominative, he's the subject. So he's going to be doing the action of the verb. So on account of the waves, can you see them? The waves, they're in the sea. Then there's the leader, there he is, he's going to do something. Octo, octo means 8. It's an indeclinable adjective to modify a noun. Horas, could be 8 liter? No, that doesn't make any sense. Liter, singular. Oh, you Abbey boys are silly. Horas, hora, I, feminine. Hour, as in the span of time. Accusative plural. Why? An accusative time word. Why, that's probably going to be duration of time for the length of octo horas, 8 hours. For the length of 8 hours. For 8 hours. In, portu, another in, plus another ablative. Portus, us, masculine, port, harbor. This is the ablative. In portu, ablative of location. The leader, for 8 hours, he's in the port. Manserat, and there's the verb. The picture is complete. Manserat, third person singular, pluperfect active indicative of maneo, manere, mansi, mansus, to stay, remain, reman. So on account of the waves in the sea, the leader had stayed in the port for 8 hours. Quarta, sententia quarta. Brevi tempore, multi Romanorum in urbem nostram convenient. So brevi tempore, brevi from brevis a, it's an adjective meaning brief. It's a third declension adjective, to termination, brevis breve. So this form, why this could be the dative of any gender or the ablative of any gender, singular. So tempore, well, that answers that about brevi. Tempore, tempus, temporis neuter, meaning time. Tempore can only be the ablative. Tempus, temporis, tempori, tempus, tempore. Tempora, temporum, temporibus, tempora, temporibus. So this is the ablative, singular and neuter. Brevi agrees with it in gender numbering case. So brevi is also ablative, singular and neuter. Now, what would a noun denoting some aspect of time, what would that be in the ablative case? It could actually be two things because the Romans are silly. So it could be ablative of time when, as in a location on the timeline, so at a certain time, or it could be ablative of time within which, that is, that within a span of time, something will happen. So brevi tempore, in a short time. It's actually a truncation for within a short time. This is an ablative of time within which. It is synonymous with the adverb mox, soon. In a short time, in a brief time, within a short time, brevi tempore. It's almost like mox, soon. So, within a short time, multi Romanorum, multi, from the adjective multus aum, much, plural, many. Multi, that could be genitive, singular, masculine, or neuter, or it could be nominative, plural, masculine, and is the subject. But you might be saying, that's just an adjective. Where is the noun that it modifies? Ha! But what if I said, this is a substantive adjective? And you would say, curse you, substantive adjective. Again? Yes, again. This is many, as in the many. Well, where's the noun that goes with it? Remember, it's implied. We're actually saying like many people. Here we're saying multi Romanorum, many of the Romans, many out of the Romans. So many persons, multi, and then the implied noun, it's like persons. Romanorum, of the Romans. So Romanorum, genitive plural of Romanus aum, of the Romans. And this is a partitive genitive. Many out of the Romans. Multi Romanorum, many of the Romans. Within a short time, many of the Romans. In plus the accusative, urbem, orbs, orbis, feminine, city. In plus the accusative shows motion towards, motion into. We're going into urbem. We're not in it. That would be in urbe, the ablative. This is in urbem, into the city. Nostram, adjective, noster, nostra, nostrum, agrees with orbs, orbis, feminine, urbem in gender numbering case. Urbem, accusative, singular, feminine. Nostram, accusative, singular, feminine. So not just a city, but it's ours. Our city, into our city. Convenient, convenient. This is the third person plural, future, active, indicative of convenio, convenire, conveni, conventus. To come together, to cum venio. So, subject is, well, we have a nominative subject here. Many of the Romans, they will come together, convene into or at our city, brevi tempore, within a short time, in a short time, soon. Soon many of the Romans will convene in our city. Within a short time, many of the Romans will gather at our city, will come together to our city. Quinta, sententia quinta. Quis vestrum audiebat imperatorem, ubi vos de victoria docebat. So quis, we have quis, and notice the question mark at the end. Quis, this is an interrogative, and it's an interrogative pronoun. An interrogative pronoun stands on its own. It doesn't agree with an adjective. It doesn't agree with a noun. It is its own thing. It's a pronoun. It takes the place of a noun. This is who. This is who. So who, vestrum. Vestrum, this is the genitive. The forms of vos are vos, vestri, or vestrum, The dative is vobis, the accusative is vos, and the ablative is vobis. This vestrum form, it's like a shortened form for vestrorum. That's how I think of it. It's like, think of it like a genitive plural. Quis vestrum? Who, genitive of us. Who, out of us. Which one, who, out of us, the grouping of us, the part of us. I think of partitive genitives like pizzas. Think of a pizza pie. Pie. You want as many slices of the pie, out of the pie, as possible. You want slices, parts of the whole pie. Partitive genitive. Many of the Romans, the whole grouping of Romans, there are many of them. Of the whole grouping of all of you, which one or which part out of all of you? So vestrum is the partitive genitive form. Quis vestrum? Who of y'all? Who of ye? Audiebat, third person singular imperfect active indicative of audio, audiere, audivi, auditus, to hear or listen to. Who of ye was listening to? Who was listening to? Who of y'all was listening to? The imperator is masculine general, commander. This is the accusative, singular masculine. It's probably going to be the direct object. I don't see a preposition in front of it. And it works well with the verb. Who of ye was listening to the general? Who of ye kept listening to the general? Ubi vos de victoria docebat. Ubi, when. Can also mean where, but this is probably going to be when. Ubi vos, this is another form of vos ye, so vos vestri / vestrum. The dative is vobis, accusative is vos, and the ablative is vobis. So this is either nominative or accusative. De, just like it was here in secunda, de pace, in regards to or concerning peace. This is in regards to or concerning about victoria, I, feminine, victory. So ablative, singular, feminine. De still takes the ablative. About victory. And docebat, from third person singular, imperfect active indicative of doceo, docere, docui, doctus. To teach or to show. So he was showing. He, she, it was showing. Who was showing? Well, vos, we were thinking vos could be the subject, but it cannot be now if the verb is docebat. Vos is going to be the direct object of the verb docebat. So who is the subject? Probably is going to be the imperatorem, but that's accusative. I know, but this is acting as a subordinate clause. Who of ye was listening to the general when he was teaching? You could say showing, telling, demonstrating. He was explaining to ye about the victory. He was showing ye about the victory. He was telling you about that, teaching you about the victory. He's explaining to you about the victory. Docebat. He's like a doctor. He's learned, a doctus. Who of ye was listening to the general when he was telling you about the victory? Optime, sexta, sententia sexta. Decem ex agricolis frumentum mille passus ad flumen portaverunt. Decem, like in prima, this is 10, and it's indeclinable 10. We don't know what case it is because it's indeclinable. Same form. Ex plus the ablative, always and only plus the ablative, means out of. Agricola I, masculine farmer. Agricolis is dative or ablative plural, masculine. It better be ablative because it's preceded by a preposition that only takes the ablative. Otherwise, we're in trouble. 10, out of the farmers. This is another way you can show the partitive idea other than the partitive genitive. Now, the partitive genitive remains the more popular usage, but if you have a number, a stated numeral, The Romans typically used ex plus the ablative, as is used here, or de plus the ablative to show the partitive idea. They liked numbers plus ex or de plus the ablative to indicate the partitive. Everywhere else, they tend to use the partitive genitive, the genitive form. So 10 out of the farmers, 10 of the farmers. Frumentum. Frumentum in neuter, grain. This could either be the nominative or accusative, singular neuter. So either 10 of the farmers are doing something to the grain or the grain doing something to 10 of the farmers. Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. What could possibly happen? Mille, indeclinable adjective. 1,000, a singular thousand. Because it's an indeclinable adjective, it should modify a noun like passus. Passus us, masculine. There should be a macron over this u, passus. So, nominative plural masculine. Or it could be accusative plural masculine. I don't know, are 1,000 paces or 1 mile doing something to the grain? Or are they doing 10 to the farmers? Oh my gosh, what is going on? Could also be extent of space. So many options. Let's keep going. Odd plus the accusative, always and only, motion towards. So we're going towards the flumen, fluminous neuter river. So flumen is accusative, motion towards. And portaverunt is third plural. It's perfect active, a porta, portare, portavi, portatus, to carry. So the subject is a they. That crosses out grain. It probably crosses out the 1,000 paces carrying something to the river because it's kind of weird, dudes. So how about the 10 from the farmers? Yes, decem can be the subject. 10 of the farmers carry the direct object. Well, it's got to be the grain, frumentum, and this is going to be an accusative of extent of space. How far the action, the carrying occurred. It went on for 1,000 paces or 1 mile. And in which direction did it go? Odd plus the accusative flumen, towards the river. 10 of the farmers carry grain a mile to the river, or 1,000 paces to the river. Septima, sententia septima. Nautai, qui ad urbem venerunt, naves in portu reliquerant. So nautai, from nautai, masculine, sailor. This could either be the genitive or singular dative or the nominative plural of sailor. Let's keep our options open. Qui, quae, quod, relative pronoun introducing a relative clause. It must agree with its antecedent in gender and number. So this is going to be either, it could be a couple things. It could be singular, masculine. This could be singular masculine, or it could be also plural masculine. This could be plural masculine. Ah, shucks, so many different things, and we can't really tell right now. Let's keep going until something tells us what the right answer is. Odd, preposition, plus the accusative, motion towards. Odd plus orbs, orbis, feminine, city. We're going towards the city, guys. And venerunt. This is the perfect tense, third person plural, perfect. It's got the perfect stem, when, macron over that E, venerunt. So they came. Third plural, perfect active indicative of venio, venire, veni, ventus. So they came. Who did? Well, the sailors did, who came to the city. So that tells us that sailors is going to be plural masculine subject. Qui has got to be plural masculine, and it's also nominative subject of this verb. So the sailors who came to the city. They naves, from navis, feminine, ship. These are ships, either nominative or accusative plural. It's probably going to be accusative because we already got ourselves a subject in the nominative. So I'm going to guess that ships is going to be the direct object. Sailors are going to do something about something to the ships. Which sailors? Oh, the ones who came to the city. Oh, okay, thanks. In portu, in plus the ablative, like in tertia, shows location. Portus us, masculine, harbor or port. We are in the port. That's where the action's happening. That's where the party's at. Reliquerant, third person plural, pluperfect active indicative of relinquo, relinquere, reliqui, relictus. So to leave behind or abandon, you leave an X in the accusative behind. Leave an accusative direct object behind. So we have an accusative direct object, the ships. Where'd we leave them? Ablative of location in the port. Who did the leaving? Them sailors in the nominative subject. And who are they? They're the ones who came to the city. The sailors who came to the city had left their ships in the port. Octava. Mater mea ad agricolae villam septima hora pervenit, et 3 horas manebat. Weird, I wonder what she was doing there. So mater mea, mater, matres, feminine, mother, mom. Nominative singular feminine. Nominative singular feminine subject. Mea, meus my, plural my. Yeah, it's my, mine. And it agrees in gender numbering case with the noun mater. So it's my mother, and she's the subject. She's going to be doing something. My mother, odd, plus the always and only the accusative case to show motion towards. But wait a minute, you might be screaming. Agricolae is not the accusative. You lied to us again, Mr. Freeze. No, actually, odd goes with the accusative villam, just like it always does, odd plus the accusative. Ad villam, motion towards. We just pop this genitive right here, snuggle it in between the preposition and the noun that it modifies, just so we know for a fact, obviously, no uncertainty here that this noun agricolae modifies this noun villam. And it can't go with any other thing because it would have to jump skip over the preposition or the noun villam to go with anyone else. So we know that it's the farmer's farmhouse. This is genitive. To the farmhouse of the farmer. To the farmer's farmhouse. We do the same thing in English. Preposition, possessive noun, the noun that then goes with the preposition. To the farmer's farmhouse. So my mother did something to the farmer's farmhouse. Septima hora. So septimus it's seventh, like this is sententia septima. So septima, ablative singular feminine, agreeing with the ablative singular feminine. Hora, feminine. Hour, as in the measurement of time. Now, a time word in the ablative. Either ablative of time when or ablative of time within which. So my mother did some action at the 7th hour or within the 7th hour. It's probably going to be at the 7th hour. Pervenit, pervenio, pervenire, perveni, perventus, to arrive at somewhere. Pervenio takes either odd or in plus the accusative of motion to tell you where you arrive at. So this is third person singular perfect active indicative. So my mother, the nominative subject, arrived at the farmer's farmhouse. When? At what time? Septima hora, at the 7th hour. At the 7th hour. We assume that sunrise was at 6 a.m. It would be around 1 p.m. 7th hour. Et, conjunction and. It's not all she did. She arrived there and then et 3 horas manebat. Tres, this is one of the numerals that actually declines. Tres, tria, 3. It's always plural because 3 is always, more than 1. So tres is the tres is the masculine or the feminine form. It could either be nominative or accusative. Horas, that tells us that it's going to be accusative. So 3 horas, from hora, feminine hour, the measurement of time. So 3 horas, for 3 hours. Accusative with a time word, it's pretty much duration of time. For 3 hours. It shows how long the action occurred. And what is that action that occurred? Manebat, from maneo, manere, mansi, mansus, manebat. Third person singular, imperfect active indicative, to remain or wait. So my mother arrived at the farmer's farmhouse at the 7th hour, and she was staying there or remained there for 3 hours, for the duration of 3 hours. Nona, sententia nona. Iter faciemus multa milia passum ad fines nostrorum sociorum in Europa. So iter, it's either the nominative singular or the accusative singular of iter itineris neuter, meaning route, as in a route, a journey, a march, going somewhere. And usually coupled with the verb facio, facere, feci, factus, it means literally to make a journey or to march or to travel. So this is iter is the direct object of this verb. It's a Roman idiom. So faciemos, first person plural. Future, notice it's future tense. The present tense would be facimus. This is faciemos. There's the present stem faci at emos, the future ending, s at emos, a to send. So we will make a journey. We will journey. We will march. And to where? How far? How long? All of these questions will be answered by the accusative. To where? Motion towards. How long? Time duration. How far? Extent of space. All accusatives. Multa milia passum. So multa, from multa saum, adjective much, plural many, agrees with the noun milia, milium neuter, always plural. So either nominative or accusative. We already got ourselves our subject, so this is not going to be nominative. We already know the subject is we. We will journey. We will make a journey. This is going to be how far, to what extent, what distance. Multa milia. Many thousands. Remember, milia is the plural, thousands, more than 1,000. Passum. Passum, of paces. Passus us, masculine, of paces. This is the partitive genitive. Partitive genitive. Many thousands of paces. We can just say many miles. Ad, that tells us to where, whither we are making our travel plans. Ad plus the accusative, motion towards. Finis, finis, masculine. We get the English word finish. It means boundary, or in the plural it can mean territory. To the territory or to the boundaries. Nostrorum sociorum. So nostrorum, from noster, nostra, nostrum, our, belonging to us. Genitive plural. Modifies sociorum, from socius, soci, masculine, ally, comrade. Genitive plural. Genitive plural. They agree in gender numbering case. Of our allies, of our comrades. To the territory of our allies, in plus the ablative, there should be a macron over the final A, Europa, in Europa, ablative of location, in Europe. We will travel many miles to the territory of our allies in Europe. And decima, sententia decima. Quos invenisti, ubi in castra pervenisti? Quos. Quos. Well, I don't see a noun that quos is modifying. So quos, I'm going to assume, is an interrogative. How do you know it's interrogative? Because we're asking a question. Here's a question mark. Oh. It's going to be an interrogative pronoun. Pronoun, taking the place of a noun, taking the place of an antecedent. So we're asking whom. Whom, accusative, plural, masculine, quos, whom, not who. Who is not doing the action. This is whom, the direct object, receiving the action of invenisti. Invenio, invenire, inveni, inventus, to find. Invenisti, that is the second person singular, perfect, active, indicative. So you found. You don't say you finded, or do you? You found. Whom have you found? Whom did you find? Ubi, when or where? Could be when. Yeah, it's probably going to be when. When, in plus the accusative. Now, castra orum, always neuter, always plural, means camp. Singular English camp. It's always plural in Latin. That's just the way the word be. This is in and castra because it's neuter, and it's always plural. The only forms it's going to have are castra, castrorum, castris, castra, castris. So in castra, that's the accusative. In castra, accusative. It's plural, it's neuter. So we're going into the camp. Into the camp. And pervenisti is Second person singular, perfect active indicative, pervenio, pervenire, perveni, perventus, to arrive. Pervenio takes ad or in plus the accusative to show motion towards, movement towards somewhere. Whom did you find when you arrived at the camp? Whom did you find when you arrived at the camp? We're asking whom. Who were those guys? Direct object of this verb, because you found them, right? Who were they? And when you arrived there, motion towards that place. Optime, very well done. That wraps it up for exercise D. You are now ready to move on to exercise E of chapter 30.